Hey folks, Sheila here from Design Files. In today's video, I'm going to show you some really simple steps that you can take to create cozy little nooks like this whenever you're building out your designs in the 3D floor planner. So in this video, we're going to cover adding in an angled section to the wall, and we're also going to cover how to create built-in storage units like this bench here. So let's go ahead, we'll jump right in and I'll show you exactly how to do this, and honestly, it's only going to take a few minutes. So the first thing that I want to do here is you can see that I've already kind of built out the main structure for this design. So this is the wall that we're going to be focusing on to create that cozy little nook. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to add in that sloped section. And in order for me to do that, I'm basically going to need to draw a triangular shape on this back wall and extrude it out. So before I even go into the wall editor, I'm going to pop into the floor plan mode because I want to know what the overall width of this wall is right here, so that when I extrude out the shape, I'll be able to match that. So I can see that it's a 24.75. So I'm going to go back to the 3D view. I'm going to click into this wall. And whenever you click on a wall, you're going to see that there's a little tooltip where you can click Edit Surface. Click that and it's going to take you into the wall editor. So in order for us to create that angled portion on the wall, what I'm actually going to do here is I'm going to jump over here to the right side panel where you can see that I can add shapes, I can add trim, and then I have all of my texture libraries here so I can apply different finishes to any of the shapes or the trim that I'm adding. So let's go ahead, we're going to click on Add Shape. I'm going to click on the Line tool and I'm just going to click in this top right corner to add a point. We're going to move over here and I'm basically just going to draw a triangular shape. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply a paint color to this. So we'll go into our texture library. I'm going to go into paint. You'll see the collections that are available. You can click into any of these and you can search by color name or color code, or if you just found one you like, just click on it and click on the shape and it will fill it in. In my case, I actually have a specific paint color that I'm going to use. So I'm going to go to Recents and it's going to show me all the colors that I've used within this design. So I'm going to take this one and I'm going to apply it. The next thing that I'm going to do here is I need to extrude this shape out into the space. And that's why we needed to know what the overall length of that inner wall was. So I'm just going to open up my 3D previewer here so you can see what's going to happen. Because if I extrude this triangular shape out 24.75, it's going to pop that section out of the wall and give me that nice sloped area. So now that I've done that, I'm just going to close this down. And the next thing I can do here is I can build out the bench that I'm going to have as the storage unit right here. Now in my case, I'm just going to open this up again. You can see that I've got some baseboard on this wall. I don't actually need it for this wall because I'm going to be creating that bench. So the first thing I'm going to do is just get rid of that. I'll click into Add Trim. You'll see that you've got your crown molding, your baseboard, and your chair rail library. So I'm going to go into the baseboard one and you can see that there's an option for none. If I click that, it's going to remove the baseboard from this section of the wall. So now I've got a nice flat surface and I can start building out my bench. To do that, I'm going to click Add Shape. I'm going to click on the rectangle option, and then I'm just going to click and make a rectangular shape on the bottom half of this wall. I'm just going to zoom in here, and if you're wondering how I'm doing that, I'm just using the wheel on my mouse. And I'm also just shifting my design around like this, just to kind of get it into the position I want by holding down the right button on my mouse and dragging it around. Now I want this bench to be 18 inches high, so I'm just going to click on the top edge of this rectangular shape and bump it up until I see 18 here, and then I'm going to fill it with a color. The next thing that I need to do here is I need to give this some depth. So again, I'm just going to zoom in here so you can see what's happening. So this 3D previewer is really handy because it allows you to see how the changes you're making on the wall editor are going to affect your design in real time. So for this bench, I'm actually going to extrude it out 23 inches. And when I do that, you're going to see that it's going to bump out that section of the wall 23 inches. So now that I've got the base part, I'm actually going to add one more rectangular shape here. And I'm just going to add it to the top and we'll make it 1.25 inches. Okay. I'm going to add another color to that and I'm going to extrude this out 24 inches. And the reason I'm doing this is I just want to have a top portion of the bench that has a 1-inch lip overhang from the main section of the bench. So this is 23 inches and this one's 24, so we've got a 1-inch overhang. And if I open this up, you'll see how that starts to appear on your 3D design. Now the next thing that I want to do here, just because I think it would be fun, I'm going to add in some drawers for storage. So if I want to add in some drawers, what I do need to do is I need to figure out how wide those drawers are going to be. So if I do, let's open up my calculator here. We have a total length of 67.25. Now, if I'm going to have 2 drawers in here, I think what I'll do is I'll have a 3.5 inch gap on this side, a 3.5 inch gap on this side, and maybe we'll aim for a 3.5 inch gap in the middle. So if I do 3.5 and 3.5 is 7, and another 3.5 is 10.5, I'm going to subtract 10.5 from the overall total. So this is the remaining amount that we have left for the drawers. So if I divide that by 2, each of my drawers needs to be this width. Now in our case, the system's going to round up to the nearest 1/4 inch. So I'm going to make my drawers 28.5, and we'll see what that looks like. So let's click. We're going to add another rectangle, and I'm just going to make that. Did I say 28.5? I'm pretty sure I did. So let's go ahead and we'll just make this 28.5. And I'm going to shift this over so there is a 3.5 inch distance between the edge of the wall and the edge of this drawer. And maybe what we'll do is we'll make this 3-inch frame above and a 3-inch frame below, just like that. Okay, so we're going to add in our color to this box as well. Now remember, we extruded out the main face of the bench to 23 inches. So if I want this drawer to look like it's sticking out a little bit, I'm going to extend this one out to 24 inches. So even though this shape has already been extruded, you got to think about it as if each shape that you're adding to this wall is just sitting flat, flush on the wall. So you keep extruding out the shapes as needed to create your design. So I've got this shape extruded out 24 inches, so it's 1 inch in front of the actual face of this built-in bench. And I'm just going to duplicate this, drag it over here, and then we'll add this in here. So I've got 3.5, and it looks like I lost about a 1/4 inch, but that's fine. So we've got a little bit less of a gap between the 2 drawers than we do on either side. That's totally fine. So the next thing that I want to do here is I might want to, if you like the idea of having kind of like a shaker style drawer for this, then I would add in another rectangular shape in here. So I'm going to click to add in another shape. And maybe what we'll do here is we'll do, we could do like 2.5. Maybe we'll do a 2-inch frame, 2 inch and 2 inches here. Okay. We're going to add a color to this. Now, if I want this to look like it's a shaker style drawer, so it's got a bit of a raised frame around the outside, that means that this inner one has to be extruded less than this outer one. So if this one's at 24, I'm going to make this one 23. Okay. And if I open up my 3D preview here, you can start to see how that frame is looking. Let me just bring this up here. You can start to see how that frame is looking in your 3D design. So I'm going to replicate this. I'm going to duplicate this, and I'm going to bring it over here. And now I've got my 2 drawers and my built-in bench. So we'll save this design. And now I can start to see what this is looking like. So we've got the built-in bench here. Now I wanted to include an upholstered top to this. So here's something that you can do. What I ended up doing is I went into the product library and I just looked for an upholstered bench. And I found this one, which you can see that I've already pulled out in my design right here. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this bench and I'm going to drag it over here, and I'm just going to change the dimensions of my bench so that it matches the walls here. So I can see that this is 67.25 inch. So for the width, we're just going to make this 67.25. And then for the overall depth of it, I'm going to make it, I'll probably make it less than this because I'm going to tuck it in a little bit. So for the depth, we'll make this, let's do 24. We'll see what that looks like. And then we're just going to slide this into place. And I can use my left, right, and up, down arrows to just kind of shift it around. And then I'm going to go into the 3D perspective mode here. I can see that it's sticking out a little bit, so we're just going to adjust this. I'm going to raise it up, and I'm going to push it back a little bit so the metal frame is hidden, just so that it's hidden behind the bench structure that we've created. And we'll drop this down just a smidge, just like that. So now I've got my upholstered top to this bench, and if I wanted to change the color of it, I could just I can select the bench, I'll go to the color tool here, and then I could just pick a color and apply it to this particular bench seat. But well, actually that's kind of fun too. Yeah, okay, let's leave it at that. So the next thing that we could do here is we could add in some pillows. I could add in a throw blanket. So you can have a look for specific products that you want to use within this. So if I look for a throw, I'll take this one right here and we'll apply it, slide it down and just make it look like it's hanging off the edge there. And I could start adding in some pillows. So maybe we'll take this one right here and I'm going to rotate this around. And I could raise this so it is maybe 20 inches off the floor, because we know that our bench was going to be at 18 inches here. And then I can just raise this up and place it where I want within the design, and you can add in more pillows. The other thing that you can actually do here is you could look for a pull. And if we go through here, you're going to see there's a number of options that you can use. So if I wanted to make it look like these were drawers that had pulls, then I can click on this option here, and we're just going to place it within the center of the drawer. And I could raise this up actually, and then place another one over here, and lower this back down so it's in place. But it just allows you to kind of play around with the overall design and create a built-in look. And if you're wanting to get a little bit more shadow to kind of define some of the edges here, you're not going to see a lot of shadow when you're in the editing mode, because it would really slow down the system if it has to calculate all these dark shadows every single time you're building out a little detail. But whenever you go in to save your design, and I'll just go to the 3D perspective option for now. If I go in here and we square up this design a little bit, down here you've got your light intensity option. So you can actually change it up so that you're getting more of the shadows in your design, so that when you save this and share it with your client, they're going to be able to see some of those edges a little bit sharper. You also have your sun position here, so if you want to change around the look of this and just see what light options are going to work best for your design, you can play around with that as well. And that's essentially it. So yeah, if you want to be able to create nooks in your designs, if you want to be able to build in a sloped ceiling, follow the steps that I showed in this video. And building out custom kind of storage units or benches or anything like that is really quite simple if you follow the same steps that I used within this video. And of course, if you have any questions at all about how to use the DesignFiles 3D Floor Planner, always reach out to us on the live chat. We're more than happy to help.